In the grand corridors of the Galactic Empire, the High Commander dismissed humanity with disdain. Weak and insignificant, he had declared, a sentiment Captain Malvin snorted at as he replayed the briefing in his mind. The alien officer, Commander Zorik, paced the bridge of the Zalaran battleship, his gaze fixed on the view screen showing Earth. The planet was a primitive speck, utterly powerless against the might of the Galactic Empire. The bridge buzzed with activity as crew members monitored systems and prepared for the impending invasion. The Zalarans, a race renowned for their conquest and technological superiority, had set their sights on Earth after centuries of expansion. The warnings from the Dreller, a neighboring species that had experienced human resilience firsthand, were dismissed as paranoia. "Sir, the Human Defense Network is activating," reported Lieutenant Ferris, his voice edged with skepticism. "They're bringing online all their satellites and missile systems." Malvin scoffed. "A futile effort. Our shields can withstand far more than their rudimentary weapons." Yet, a small seed of doubt gnawed at him. The Dreller were not easily rattled, and their warning had been clear. Do not underestimate humanity. Malvin had been present when the Dreller ambassador's plea was met with laughter and scorn. The Galactic Empire had never faced a foe it couldn't crush, and the idea that humans would be any different was ludicrous. As the Zalaran fleet assembled, Malvin's attention was drawn to a broadcast from Earth. A human leader stood before a crowd, his voice resolute and fiery. The universal translator rendered his words perfectly. "We will not surrender our home to invaders. We will fight with every ounce of strength we have. Let the galaxy know that humanity does not bow to tyranny." A murmur spread through the bridge crew, but Malvin silenced them with a fierce glare. "This bravado will be their undoing. Prepare the plasma cannons." The order was relayed, and the ship's weapon systems hummed to life. Earth was about to experience the full wrath of the Zalarans. Meanwhile, on Earth, General Richard Hayes stood in the command center of the United Earth Defense Forces. His eyes were locked on the holographic display of the Zalaran fleet. "They think we'll just roll over," he said grimly. "Let's show them what humans are made of." Hayes had dedicated his career to preparing for this moment. Humanity had long suspected they were not alone in the universe and had spent decades quietly bolstering their defenses with advanced technologies. Governments worldwide had united in this effort, setting aside differences in the face of extraterrestrial threat. "All units, prepare for combat," Hayes ordered. "Activate the orbital defense grid." Military installations sprang to life. Missiles were armed, railguns primed, and energy shields activated. The world's brightest minds had developed these weapons by blending Earth's technology with reverse-engineered alien artifacts discovered over the years. As the Zalaran dreadnoughts descended into the atmosphere, they were met with a fierce barrage. Missiles streaked through the sky, and railgun slugs tore through the air at hypersonic speeds. The initial wave of plasma cannon fire from the Zalarans was intercepted by energy shields that absorbed and dissipated the blast. "Report," Malvin barked as the ship shuddered from multiple railgun impacts. "Shields holding at 80%, Ferris reported. "Their weapons are more advanced than anticipated." "Impossible," Malvin muttered. "Increase power to the forward shields and return fire. Target their launch sites." On Earth, Hayes watched as the first Zalaran ship was hit by a direct missile strike, its shields flickering before collapsing. The vessel exploded in a bright flash, drawing cheers from the command center personnel. "That's one down," Hayes said. "Keep up the pressure. We need to buy more time for our ground forces to mobilize." As the battle raged in orbit, Earth's ground forces sprang into action. Soldiers in advanced exosuits, equipped with augmented reality visors and plasma rifles, took up defensive positions in major cities and strategic locations. Anti-aircraft batteries and automated turrets were set to intercept any Zalaran troops that breached the orbital defenses. In the ruins of New York, Sergeant Alex Carter led his squad through the wreckage of a bombed building. "Eyes open, everyone. They'll be sending dropships any minute now." The sound of engines filled the air as Zalaran dropships descended, deploying troops and war machines. The human soldiers, undeterred, opened fire with precision and ferocity. The exosuits amplified their strength and speed, making them formidable opponents even against the larger Zalaran forces. Carter ducked behind cover, firing his plasma rifle at an advancing Zalaran soldier. The alien's armor absorbed the initial shots, but a well-placed burst found a weak point, causing the Zalaran to fall. "These guys aren't so tough," Carter said, reloading his weapon. "Stay focused, everyone." The battle on the ground was intense, with both sides suffering heavy losses. The Zalarans were relentless, but the humans fought with a tenacity that caught the invaders off guard. In the skies, the human Air Force engaged Zalaran fighters in dogfights, their advanced jets and drones proving more than a match for the alien craft. As the day wore on, the tide of battle began to turn. The Zalaran fleet, while powerful, was not prepared for the level of resistance they encountered. Human ingenuity and resilience were proving to be formidable adversaries. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the Dreller ambassador," Ferris reported. "He wishes to speak with you." Malvin's jaw tightened. He knew what was coming. Put him through. The holographic image of the Dreller ambassador appeared on the bridge, his expression one of sorrowful vindication. "High Commander Malvin, I warned you not to underestimate humanity. They are unlike any species you have encountered." Malvin's response was cut short as the ship shuddered violently. "Report," he demanded. "Shields down to 40%. "We've lost 2 more dreadnoughts," Ferris shouted, fear evident in his voice. The realization that they might lose this battle began to dawn on Malvin. Humanity was not the weak and insignificant species he had believed them to be. They were a force to be reckoned with, and the Galactic Empire had made a grave miscalculation. "Order a retreat," Malvin said, the words tasting bitter in his mouth. "We need to regroup and reassess our strategy." As the Zalaran ships began to pull back, cheers of victory erupted across Earth. The humans had done the impossible. They had repelled the invaders. But Hayes knew this was only the beginning. The war was far from over, and humanity had shown its strength. Now, it was time to prepare for the next battle. High Commander Malvin's retreat from Earth was not just a tactical maneuver, but also a blow to his ego. The Galactic Empire had never faced such fierce resistance, and he needed a plan to crush humanity once and for all. As the Zalaran fleet limped back to their base in the Andromeda sector, Malvin convened an emergency council with his top strategists. "We need a new approach," he said, glaring at the holographic faces surrounding him. "Their technology is more advanced than anticipated, and their resolve is unbreakable." One of his advisors, Commander Zane, spoke up. "We underestimated their ability to reverse engineer alien technology. But what if we attack them psychologically, break their spirits instead of their bodies?" Malvin considered this. "Explain." "Humans are emotionally driven," Zane continued. "If we can sow fear and discord among their ranks, we can weaken their unity, sabotage their communications, spread disinformation, turn them against each other. Once they're in disarray, we launch a coordinated strike." Malvin nodded slowly. "This could work. We need to identify key targets and strike at the heart of their morale. Begin preparations immediately." Back on Earth, General Hayes anticipated the Zalarans' next move. The victory had given humanity a brief respite, but he knew it was temporary. The war was far from over, and they needed to remain vigilant. "What's our status?" Hayes asked Colonel Davis. "Repairs are underway on the orbital defense grid. We've salvaged some Zalaran technology from the downed ships. Our scientists are analyzing it for weaknesses," Davis reported. "Good. We need every advantage we can get. What's the latest on our intel?" Davis hesitated. "We're detecting increased Zalaran activity in the Andromeda sector. It looks like they're regrouping and planning their next move." Hayes sighed. "We need more time. Keep our defenses at full alert and prepare for any eventuality." As Earth prepared for the next wave, the Zalarans implemented their psychological warfare strategy. They hacked into human communication networks, spreading false information and creating confusion. Reports of Zalaran collaborators and traitors began circulating, sowing seeds of distrust and paranoia within the United Earth Defense Forces. In the command center, tension was palpable. Hayes watched the chaos unfold on the screens before him. "We need to get a handle on this, and fast. If we lose control, the Zalarans will exploit it." Colonel Davis was already on it. "I've dispatched counterintelligence teams to root out the false information. We're working to secure our networks, but it will take time. Time is something we don't have, Hayes muttered. We need to stay focused and not let them divide us. Despite their best efforts, the Zalaran psychological assault began to take its toll. Mistrust grew, incidents of friendly fire and sabotage increased, and morale started to crack. Malvin watched with satisfaction from his command ship. Their unity is crumbling, he said with a sinister grin. Prepare the fleet for the final assault. This time, we will leave nothing to chance. The Zalaran fleet, now reinforced with additional warships and advanced weaponry, moved back toward Earth. Their strategy had shifted from brute force to calculated strikes aimed at crippling human infrastructure and morale. On Earth, Hayes and his team worked tirelessly to counter the Zalaran tactics. They launched counteroffensives in cyberspace, managed to restore order, and reinforce key installations. But the toll was evident. As the Zalaran fleet approached, Earth's defenses were ready but strained. The humans had fortified their positions, but were still recovering from the internal chaos the Zalarans had sown. The first wave of the Zalaran assault hit hard. Orbital bombardments targeted communication hubs, power plants, and military bases. Earth's defenses responded with everything they had, but the Zalarans were relentless. In the skies, dogfights between human pilots and Zalaran fighters raged on. On the ground, soldiers fought desperately to hold their positions. Sergeant Carter, now a seasoned veteran, led his squad through the wreckage of a once bustling city. "We need to hold this position," Carter shouted over the sounds of battle. "If they break through here, they'll cut off our supply lines to the east." His squad, battered but determined, dug in and prepared for the onslaught. Zalaran soldiers, supported by towering war machines, advanced through the streets. Plasma fire lit up the night as humans and Zalarans clashed. Carter took down a Zalaran soldier with a well-aimed shot before ducking behind cover as a war machine lumbered into view. "We need anti-armor support here now," he yelled into his comm. "We're on it, Sergeant," came the reply. Moments later, a missile streaked through the air, striking the war machine and sending it crashing to the ground. Despite the fierce resistance, the Zalarans continued to push forward. In the command center, Hayes monitored the situation, issuing orders and coordinating defenses. "We can't let them break our lines," he said more to himself than anyone else. Colonel Davis approached. "Sir, we've detected a massive energy buildup in the Zalaran flagship. It looks like they're preparing some kind of super weapon." Hayes's eyes widened. "Get me a direct link to our top scientists. I want to know exactly what we're dealing with and how to stop it." As the battle raged on, the fate of humanity hung in the balance. The Zalarans had underestimated them once, but now they were back with a vengeance. Hayes knew this fight would determine the future of Earth and possibly the entire galaxy. The scientists quickly analyzed the data streaming in and reached a conclusion that sent chills down Hayes's spine. "It's a planet killer," said Dr. Reed, the head scientist. "They're going to try to obliterate Earth in one shot." Hayes's jaw tightened. "We can't let that happen. Do we have any countermeasures?" Dr. Reed nodded. "We believe we can overload the weapon by hitting it with a concentrated EMP burst. It won't be easy, and we'll need to get close." Hayes looked at the display, studying the Zalaran fleet's formation. "Then we'll make it happen. Prepare the EMP strike team. I want our best pilots on this." As preparations began, Hayes addressed his command staff. "This is our last stand. If we fail, Earth is finished. But if we succeed, we might just turn the tide of this war. Let's show them what humanity can do." In the skies, the battle intensified. Human forces fought with everything they had, knowing their survival depended on it. Among them, Captain Jack Carter piloted his fighter jet with unparalleled skill, weaving through enemy fire and taking out Zalaran ships with precision. "Carter, we need you to lead the EMP strike team." Hayes's voice crackled through his comm. "You're the best we've got." "Understood, sir," Carter replied. "I'll get it done." With a squadron of elite pilots, Carter set a course for the Zalaran flagship. The massive ship loomed ahead, its super weapon glowing ominously. "Stay tight, everyone," Carter said. "We only get one shot at this." As they approached, Zalaran fighters swarmed to intercept them. Carter and his team engaged in dogfights with a ferocity born of desperation. One by one, the human pilots broke through, dodging enemy fire and closing in on the flagship. "We're in range," Carter called out. "Initiate the EMP burst." A specialized missile designed to release an electromagnetic pulse was fired from Carter's jet. The missile streaked toward the flagship, evading defense systems through sheer speed and precision. It struck the super-weapon's energy core, releasing a blinding burst of light. The Zalaran flagship shuddered violently as systems overloaded, and the super-weapon's energy buildup was disrupted. Alarms blared throughout the ship, and chaos erupted on the bridge. "What's happening?" Malvin demanded, struggling to maintain his balance. "Massive energy overload. The super-weapon is destabilizing," Ferris shouted, panic in his eyes. Malvin's mind raced. "We need to eject the core now." But it was too late. The core, overloaded with energy, exploded in a spectacular blast that tore through the flagship. Pieces of the once mighty vessel rained down, and the remaining Zalaran ships scattered in disarray. On the ground, Hayes and his team watched the destruction with a mix of awe and relief. "We did it," Hayes said, pride evident in his voice. "We actually did it." With the flagship destroyed and the Zalaran forces in retreat, the battle turned in favor of humanity. The remaining Zalaran ships, leaderless and demoralized, were picked off one by the relentless human forces. Earth had won a decisive victory. In the aftermath, Hayes addressed the world. "Today, we proved that humanity will not be conquered. We stood together, fought together, and won together. The Zalarans learned the hard way that we are not to be underestimated. This is our home, and we will defend it with everything we have." The celebrations were bittersweet. The cost of victory had been high, with many lives lost and cities in ruins. But humanity's spirit remained unbroken, stronger than ever before. They had faced the might of the Galactic Empire and emerged victorious. High Commander Malvin, now a prisoner of war, sat in his cell, reflecting on the warnings he had ignored. The Dreller ambassador's words echoed in his mind. "Do not underestimate humanity." It was a lesson he had learned too late. Hayes visited Malvin, standing outside the cell. "You thought we were weak," Hayes said, "but you didn't understand our greatest strength. It's not our technology or our weapons. It's our will to fight, to survive, and to protect what's ours." Malvin looked up, defeated but defiant. "You may have won this battle, but the war is far from over." Hayes nodded. "Perhaps. But next time, you'll know better than to underestimate humanity." The war was not over, but humanity had proven it could stand against even the most powerful foes. The Galactic Empire had been dealt a crippling blow, and the message was clear. Earth was not to be trifled with. As Hayes walked away, he felt a renewed sense of hope. The road ahead would be difficult, but humanity had proven its resilience. Together, they would face whatever challenges the future held, united and unyielding. The galaxy would never underestimate humans again. The Earth lay in a fragile calm, its skies once filled with the fiery trails of combat now a serene blue. The cities, though scarred by the recent conflict, began to stir with signs of recovery. The Galactic Empire's invasion had left a mark on humanity, but it had also forged a newfound unity and resilience. General Richard Hayes stood on the balcony of his command center, looking out over the cityscape of what was once New York. Reconstruction crews worked tirelessly, and temporary shelters were filled with people eager to return to their homes. The sight was a bittersweet reminder of the cost of victory. "General Hayes," Colonel Davis approached, a somber expression on his face. "We've finished analyzing the aftermath of the Zalaran invasion. There are several key points we need to address immediately." "Go ahead, Colonel," Hayes said, turning to face him. Davis activated a holographic display, showing a detailed map of the battle zones and the damage sustained. "First, our orbital defense grid sustained severe damage. It'll take weeks to fully repair and fortify it. We're working with international teams to expedite the process, but we need to consider the possibility of future attacks." "Understood," Hayes nodded. "What's the status of the Zalaran prisoners?" "Their High Commander, Malvin, and several key officers are being held at a secure facility in Antarctica. We're interrogating them to gather intelligence on their tactics and any potential plans for future attacks." "And what about the technology we recovered?" Hayes asked. Davis shifted to a new display showing various pieces of alien technology. Our scientists are making progress in understanding and reverse engineering it. We've already integrated some of their energy shield technology into our defenses. The goal is to ensure we're better prepared for any future confrontations. Good, Hayes said. The more we can learn and adapt, the better. As they discussed the immediate concerns, the door to the command center slid open, and a young woman entered, carrying a tablet. General Hayes, Colonel Davis, we have an urgent transmission from the Dreller ambassador. Davis looked at Hayes. The Dreller? I thought their involvement was over. Hayes nodded. Put it through. The holographic image of the Dreller ambassador, Ambassador Schallner, appeared. His expression was one of cautious optimism. General Hayes, I hope this message finds you well. We're managing, Ambassador. What's the update? Hayes inquired. We have received troubling news, Schallner said. The Galactic Empire is not only regrouping but also making overtures to other alien factions. They're trying to form an alliance to renew their assault on Earth. Hayes's brow furrowed. That's not surprising, but it's disheartening. Do you have any specifics on these alliances? While the exact details are still emerging, Schallner replied, we know that the Empire is reaching out to several races known for their military prowess. This coalition could pose a significant threat. Colonel Davis interjected. We need to prepare for the possibility of a larger-scale conflict. What can the Dreller do to help? We are willing to assist, Schallner said. Our knowledge of the Empire's strategies and technology could be invaluable. Additionally, we can offer support in diplomatic efforts to prevent other races from joining their cause. Hayes nodded. We'll gladly accept any assistance you can provide. The sooner we can consolidate our defenses and form alliances of our own, the better. As the transmission ended, Hayes and Davis looked at each other, the weight of their new reality sinking in. The battle had been won, but the war was far from over. The need for preparation, strategy, and diplomacy had never been more critical. Meanwhile, in the secure facility in Antarctica, High Commander Malvin sat in his cell, his thoughts consumed by the recent defeat. The harsh environment outside contrasted starkly with the cold indifference of his confinement. His cell was sparse, but it held a certain cold dignity, a fitting place for someone who had underestimated the resilience of humanity. Malvin's mind churned with frustration and anger. The humans had proven themselves to be far more formidable than he had anticipated, and the failure of the invasion was a severe blow to his pride. He had to confront the reality of his situation. The humans had not only repelled the Galactic Empire but had done so with an unyielding spirit. The door to his cell slid open, and a guard entered, accompanied by an officer. High Commander Malvin, you have a visitor, the officer announced. Malvin stood, his posture rigid. Who dares to visit me in this place? The officer stepped aside, and Ambassador Schallner entered the cell, his alien visage calm and composed. High Commander Malvin, I trust you're well. Malvin's eyes narrowed. Dreller, what do you want? Schallner's tone was steady. I come with a proposal. The conflict between your empire and Earth is far from over. If you wish to avoid further humiliation and suffering, there may be a way to negotiate a different path. Malvin's expression remained skeptical. And why would I listen to you? Because, Schallner said, the Dreller have seen the consequences of underestimating humanity. We wish to prevent further bloodshed and offer a way to broker peace, or at least a temporary ceasefire. Malvin's mind raced. And what's in it for you? By facilitating peace or a ceasefire, Schallner explained, we ensure stability in the galaxy. We have no desire to see the Galactic Empire's reckless aggression lead to universal chaos. We also seek to preserve our own interests in this evolving power dynamic. Malvin pondered the offer. The thought of continued conflict with Earth, along with potential alliances against the Galactic Empire, was daunting. Very well. What are the terms of this proposal? Schallner nodded. I will relay the terms to the relevant parties. However, I must warn you, the process will be complex and fraught with challenges. But if you are willing to consider this route, there might be a chance for a different outcome. As Schallner left the cell, Malvin's thoughts remained clouded with doubt and anger. The defeat had shaken the foundations of his beliefs, and the prospect of negotiating peace was a bitter pill to swallow. Yet, he could not ignore the reality of the situation. The Empire's ambitions had been thwarted, and the future was uncertain. Back on Earth, General Hayes and Colonel Davis worked tirelessly to prepare for the impending threats. The battle for Earth had been a hard-fought victory, but the fight was not yet over. They understood that the only way to secure lasting peace was to remain vigilant, adaptive, and united. In the command center, Hayes reviewed a report on the latest developments. "We need to reach out to potential allies," he said to Davis. "If the Galactic Empire is forming a coalition, we should be doing the same. Let's start with the Dreller and explore other races that might be sympathetic to our cause." Davis nodded. "I'll start making contact with our existing diplomatic channels and initiate discussions with potential allies." Hayes looked out over the city once more, his thoughts on the future. Humanity had proven its strength, but the real test lay ahead. They had fought off a powerful enemy, but the galaxy was vast and filled with unknown threats. As the sun set on a battered but resilient world, the message was clear. Humanity would not be easily defeated. The road to peace and security would be long and arduous, but the spirit of Earth was unbreakable. The fight for survival had forged a new path forward, and with it, a renewed hope for a future where Earth stood strong and defiant against any force that dared to challenge it.